Hi, I want to make a video on how beauty makes life seem more futile. Not necessarily happiness, because I can't say happiness makes life seem more futile, but you can be happy and know that life's futile. You can be happy that life's futile because it fits your circumstances. But generally speaking, what I mean is a certain circumstance where um, life seems futile because you realize the things that you love so much or the things that you like so much that you like, as opposed to using it for a purpose that you're recognizing that something's futile for your own purpose against someone, saying using that for some reason is different from recognizing the things that you love so much, and almost in a way, I guess, using that as a way of using futility against someone else. But generally speaking, it's about recognizing the things that you like so much and recognizing that once those things aren't exactly the way they seem, before you recognize exactly the futility of what's going on. Obviously not really futile because there's stuff to do, but there's only so much we can do to change what's happening. We can feed the hunger, hungry, but the thing is the fact that we had to feed the hungry to begin with, and there's always going to be hungry if there's existence. If there's no longer hungry, then there's no longer anything to live for. So we're going to need deprivation to find a meaning to live, but it's based on deprivation, and we might as well not have the deprivation at all to live if it requires deprivation. That means we shouldn't have life. But back to the point I want to make about beauty and things like that. It takes the beauty and to realize it takes the beauty, but also takes the loss in beauty to make the beauty seem all the more beautiful. But once you've lost the whole concept, it can kind of ruin you, right? Um, but yes, the things that you find, so that's a good way of describing the things that you love so much once they've been taken away, the things that you've been grown attached to, the things that are so beautiful, why are they beauty, why do you love them? And not only why you love them or why you're attached to them or why you find them beautiful, but also once they're taken away. The more you like it, then there's more to be taken away. I've mentioned this before. It's an easy concept. The more there is to take, the more they're going to take it. The more you have by default, the more there is to take. Once you reach a certain point, a maximum, as far as you know, then it's going to be the only thing that you can do is there's more. The more you get the happy, the more happy you get, the more likely there's going to be a chance for. The more likely the possibility is that there's going to be a negative out of that. So the more happy you are, the more likely there's going to be a negative in reaction. That there's only more chance you're going to go downhill once you've reached a certain high. And generally speaking, like a high, right? Yes. And so things that you like the most, the things that you're most attached to, there can be once you realize what makes them, once you realize exactly what's going on, the more, I mean, even if it's just you're going insane or something, it's usually the beautiful things that it attacks first because those are the things where there's most to be taken away from. The things that you find most beautiful, the things you find most satisfying, the things you're most attached to and you love the most, those are the things that are usually attacked first. Say if you're having anxiety or whatever, or you're going insane or this or whatever it is, you're recognizing reality, and the reality is the thing that's causing that anxiety, and the anxiety makes you realize the beauty and all that stuff, how frivolous it is and how pointless it is and how much it doesn't accomplish anything and it doesn't do anything and how that's really all we're doing to a certain extent, right? And there's nothing more. Um, and how it attacks those things more because there's more to take away from the things that you find beautiful or the things that you find that you're attached to most. There's more to take away from those things. The things that you find most satisfying than there is from the things that you didn't care about to begin with, because it's about attacking the things that you're attached to. And when that's what life's predicated upon, is attacking and deprivating the things that you're attached to, then that's a game that it's just not worth playing. Or taking away from the faults that you have, like I mentioned before, like health, all your limbs. If you start off at the best, there's only things to be taken away. All you have your heart. Now you have to get you have a heart attack, and now you need a defibrillator in your heart or something, or you need a heart transplant. I mean, you only have it to be taken away, or you can add some cybergenetic crap on your, but that's hypothetically speaking. Then once you had it, that becomes the new expectation from which you compare the height of. So if you wanted a cybergenetic arm, now it becomes the thing that you create your expectation of. It doesn't matter if you had it by default to begin with. Once it becomes the expectation for which you find the most satisfying, that becomes the new standard. So now, once you take the cybergenetic arm away from you, now you've created deprivation from you. And if you didn't want it to begin with, you just take it off. You had to go through the process of getting it taken on because you had to go through the process of not wanting it to have it taken away to be satisfied with going back to where you were before. So it takes the negative to be happy or satisfied, and generally speaking, it's proportional. But then again, the positive you have from the negative doesn't fix the fact that the negative happened to begin with. It's about going through no negative to get the positive, but you can't go through the no or the positive. You can't get the positive without going through the negative first, unfortunately. And generally speaking, you go through a 4 negative to get a 3 positive. You go through a 3 negative to get a 2 positive. You go through a 2 negative, you get a 1 positive. Generally speaking, you do something, but you didn't take away the fact that the pain happened or the deprivation happened, and there's nothing to do to satisfy entirely that deprivation because you're still existing. You can only satisfy to a certain point, because if you're satisfied entirely, you would obviously not exist anymore. You say, I'm done, I've had enough, that's it. I'm satisfied, and generally speaking, it wouldn't be that. You just end up dying. You just die from the satisfaction because you just go back to the zero. It's so satisfying that it killed you to go back to the zero, and there's no other way it would happen. And that's the mechanism. Otherwise, that's really what's happening. You take 2.7, a negative 2.7 to get a positive 2.1. And if you go to the positive 2.7, you're dead. Once you reach the zero, you're dead pretty much. So you satisfied yourself so much to kill yourself and you end up dying. So once you reach the zero sum, you're pretty much dead. You're never going to reach the zero sum if you're not dead, if you're not non-existing. Because you go through the negative. The negative is the only thing that can keep on going. You go from negative 2.7, you're always going between negative 0.5, you're never going to do the zero. You go to a negative 0.7, you satisfy it to a zero, then that ends up being death. The death of you is satisfying something so much that you end up dying, so that you almost in a certain sense don't really experience it, because once you die, the experience happened, but it doesn't mean anything to the dead person anymore because you're dead. It meant something, it still means something because it's a value, and not only is it a value that happened, it's a value that leads from one thing to another, especially if there's other living things that experience something from that value experiencing someone else, they're experiencing value from it, it means something. But it already happened, and it's leading from one thing to another, and it's a part of the past now that leads to other interactions of value, but it no longer means something to that dead thing, because the dead thing no longer has context or experience or anything that means anything when it comes to that memory of experiencing something. So that means nothing at that point anyway. So yeah, the more you have, the most beautiful things are the things that usually attacked first, because there's more to take away from those things. So I think that's really all I need to say. It's a basic, easy subject, and if obviously it's something that can come up, very easily in a conversation, because it comes to do with the more positive, the more negative there is to be a possibility. And it's usually attacking the things that there's more positive because those are the things that there's more taken away from. It's like something pushing something. It's going to hit the thing that's furthest this way, and the thing that's further this way is the positive. It's going to be, a hammer is hammering the nail. The top of the nail is the positive, and it's going to hit the positive before it hits the negative parts. And it can't hit the material that the nail's going into unless it hits the positive first. And you crank it out from the negative once you reach the positive, because you're not going to pull out the nail from the structure, which is the negative, until you pull out the positive, pull out the head again, and you're back to hammering the positive, and then satisfying it and pulling out again and pulling it out. It has to go through this point. The wall has to crush the hand before it crushes the rest of the body. Say if you're pushing against the wall that's coming in at you or something, it needs to go through the more positive first. It's attacking those things first before it attacks the things that you don't like. And the things you don't like are already things that obviously up there anyway. But anyway, that's really all I need to say on the subject. You get the point. It's like a boiling water, it starts off at the bottom and it raises to the top. Right. It's just about, it attacks the positive first. It's something that's attacking the positive side and pushing it towards the negative, and you're back to satisfying it. So it's rising up, and the good is at the very bottom, sort of like the gold is at the bottom, and the lava is starting from the bottom, and it's going up, and it's causing it to raise, and it pushes it to the top before it's back at the bottom. And the further down the gold piece of gold is at the bottom, the more valuable it is. So if it's predicated on the value, you're gonna have to go further down to get the gold. But the further down the gold is in the lava, the more valuable it is. So if it gets to the top, it's worth 0. But if it's worth down the bottom, it's worth 100,000. Right? So once it needs to go through the lava needs to go through the negative. The pot it needs to go from the bottom up to reach make it to go through to make it seem worth something. It shows that it's worth something. So yes, the negative, the positive things need to be attacked first, and those are the things that are usually attacked first when you start recognizing these things. Because obviously the things you already don't like are obviously already not liked, regardless. So yeah, that's basically it. The things that you like most are the things that are obviously attacked first when it comes to any deprivation or any recognition of anything. Reality or whatever it is, whatever negative value sensation, it's always attacking the good things before the bad things, because the more the good thing is, the more there is to take away from that good thing, and that good thing is obviously the first thing that the crushing wall of pain is coming towards first, and the good is obviously more towards this side, more towards the end of the book than it is towards the beginning. It's pushing towards the beginning to make it so that you can do it again and do the same process over and over again. So anyway, that's all I need to say, and if I have anything else to add on the subject, I will add it. So yeah, easy subject, basic subject, and something that's going to come up in a conversation regardless, passively at least. It's an easy subject, something that's always mentioned. So thank you, and until next time, bye.